Yo. Well, hello everyone. I'm technically late, but also technically on time. I guess the reason why I'd say that is because this was originally set for 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. I had to change it to 12:40 p.m. Eastern time because there's some maintenance workers here who are trying to fix the sink. And you guys would not believe what happened. I actually got the two of them to just start debating about God and whether or not God exists and things about the Bible and everything. And I just kind of sat there and watched the debate. Um, I did get a lot of it recorded. I'm planning to post some of that on Instagram story and slash or Twitter. So in case if y'all are interested in that. Was a interesting debate between the two. I don't know what one of them was, but I'm pretty sure that the other one was an ESTP. So it's ironic or coincidental, probably is a better word, because I was seeing myself be represented even right before this session here. Anyway, I also wanted to say thank you to all of you who actually watched the video featuring me. I mean, who would have thought that so many people are interested in what I have to say? And so far, there's not even any dislikes. I'm really surprised. Maybe I'm getting better at this FE thing. I've been probably hanging out with FE long enough, but I feel like even though I over-explained a lot of things, I'm sure that some of you have some questions for me. So if you do, then go ahead and speak now or forever hold your peace. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for questions to roll in, if you guys don't already know who this is, if you're just tuning in and you're like, hey, what the heck this is, I'm Introverted Thinking. And I'm here to just make the second part video of the series that Denzel is doing, introducing all of the 8 cognitive functions. And at the same time, what was I about to say? I think the comment just kind of threw me off because I was starting to think, wait a minute, which video was it? And when did I sound salty? I believe you. I'm just trying to remember what it was. But I did also want to point out what I was going to say just now was that if you guys haven't listened to Eminem's latest album, I think it's the Murder of Slim Shady, something like that. You guys should check it out. I think that Eminem is an ISTP, and that album is T.I. as fruit. It certainly is. And not only just T.I., but then it really goes down the stack. T.I., SC, with how blatant it just comes out. N.I., tertiary, with he's pretty much arguing and fighting with his shadow, Slim Shady. So it's Eminem and Slim Shady, which is funny because it's pretty much the ISTP Eminem from back in the day who hadn't really integrated his FE to now the Eminem who has very severely integrated his FE, but maybe even to the point where he's in a bit of an FE grip. And so now he's like having that struggle between me and FE. And Slim Shady pretty much represents T.I. in the album. And then Eminem / Marshall represents FE in the album. And you really get to see this yin yang dynamic in there, which is very, very like NI kind of concept. But yeah, so I think that y'all should definitely check that out. I think some things that I probably did not really mention in my original video was that I've realized that, I've realized that I show up differently sometimes depending on if I'm in an STP or an NTP. Now, there's definitely overlap, but if I'm in an NTP, then the NTPs tend to want to dissect the mechanics or mechanisms of maybe arguments or philosophies and concepts, like, oh, let's see, how consistent we can make this multiverse theory like actually work out. Like, does this make sense? Is this, cohesive in that way? Whereas when I'm in STPs, I tend to come out, first of all, I tend to come out a lot more abrasive. They'll just see it and then they'll just say it. It's a lot of like how STPs tend to be. It's like, hey, I see it how it is. That's the SE. And then I'm going to speak what I think about it. Usually the TI. NTPs can do the same thing, but something that is not necessarily exclusive to STPs, but it's more common in STPs is that they will perfect the mechanisms of their body. So, like, how to tackle certain areas that they're using, maybe like to work out or to hit a tennis ball or to swim. And so a lot of STPs make up like the biggest champions of the biggest champions of the Olympics. And it's because they've really like refined a lot of like their own muscle memory, I guess, in a way, and like, like how to uh do certain things, like break down like the way into like shoot a basketball maybe, or the way to like perfectly hit a tennis racket or something like that. So yeah, but they can also learn to like, really debate and argue, same way the NTPs can also learn to really perfect certain bodily mechanistics. Anyway, yeah, Crystal, if you if you want to point out which video that you're referring to, was it mine or was it Denzel's video? If it was my video, then I definitely understand. It was probably the Jordan Peterson clips, wasn't it? Yeah, I did warn Denzel not to put me on screen, and yet here he is putting me on screen for a second time. But at the same time, like I said, I got no dislikes on that video so far. I'm probably jinxing it right now. But it's gotten more views. It's gotten even more views than FE has. That's crazy. I'm honored though, I'm flattered. I don't usually really have people that sit down and listen to everything that I have to say like this. So, but also, I'm usually told to put the mic down within 5 minutes of having the mic. So, look at this, 8 minutes, kind of almost a new record. And look at me actually doing a Q&A on the spot, because you don't know what you're going to get. This is actually probably one of the only times that this might happen. I feel sorry for the people who are not here, but at the same time, it's kind of their loss. Let's see. I usually try to push these for 15 minutes, and if there's not really any questions, then I don't got to waste y'all's time, and I don't have to waste my own time. But I'm trying to see what other things that I probably could have missed in my video that you guys would probably like to know. Well, I did watch something from Christian Rivera, aka C Note. I think his channel's name is Dopamine. He's an INTP, and he's putting out a video series right now on all of the functions in their shadow. And it was kind of interesting to watch the one on me because, INTPs, they have me as a dominant function. And one of the examples that he gave was how people with me, like higher up in their stack, they can tend to do things like maybe like breaking down how to like what makes up like a proper apology, which I also think is interesting because Denzel's made a video on that. So good job, Denzel, for actually finally integrating me to an extent. Which obviously there's a lot of like FE involved with stuff like apologies and things of that nature. Um, but the mechanics of what makes up a good apology, breaking that down, that's a very Ti thing. I also thought it was interesting that C Note said that, one of the principles that he had was to not apologize to somebody unless if he understood logically like where they were coming from. And eventually he ended up learning that, oh, that's actually not really a smart way to go about life. And there's going to be people who are going to be hurt by certain things that he says or does that just won't really make sense to him. And that's okay. So there's that. We all saw how Linford, certain things don't really make sense to him, but I guess then that really does come down to like, so how do you know when to apologize just because you hurt somebody's feelings versus even though you still don't really understand the logic behind like what you did wrong versus apologizing or not apologizing because you don't really know. But then some people really only want sincere apologies, right? And then some people just want you to apologize point blank period, even if you don't really understand. I guess it always depends on the person. But I feel like sincerity could probably go a little bit further. You know, I mean, you might not necessarily understand why something hurt someone, but you could be just sorry that it hurt the person to begin with because that wasn't your intention. Of course, there's a way to say it. If you're just saying, oh, well, sorry that hurt your feelings, that doesn't really sound very sincere. But if you're like, oh, I'm sorry, like if you're like sincere, like I'm genuinely sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, even though you did mean what you said, then I think that's different because there is a difference between just having a certain opinion, stating whatever it is that you have in mind, versus actually, you know, uh, just apologizing for apology's sake. Anyway, we have about 5 people on right now. Do you guys have any questions from the last video? Going once, twice, 3 times, going up to the 15-minute mark. And if we do have all of a sudden an influx of questions, I will answer you. We do have one thing from here. We have Dr. Sibilov the 13th. I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't offensive. Anyway, I am an INTP and I apologize profusely, not because I'm sorry, but because it is what I think people want, but then never care. Yeah, see? And I feel like this could probably really piss off quite a lot of people. But then it's like, what do you expect me to do? If we're looking back at that scene with Linford, should Linford had apologized to that lady because he did not recognize that the lady had lost 30 pounds? I don't know. Now because she called him an asshole. And it's like, he's clearly not an asshole for just not recognizing that she lost 30 pounds. Now, if he said what he said afterwards to her out loud, then he probably would have been an asshole because it's like, well, but also at the same time, it does go back to intentions, right? Because if Linford did tell that lady, like, oh, well, how was I supposed to know that you lost 30 pounds when you weigh like 300 pounds? That's a very rude thing to say. But at the same time, at the same at the same time, like it's the truth. And I think that's why they always talk about how people can't really take the truth. So I don't know. Apologies are interesting, especially because everybody takes them differently. There's people who again want to just have the apology for apology's sake, like our dear doctor here is saying, and then there's people who, are like, no, if you don't understand why you're apologizing, then don't even bother. And it's like, okay. So maybe it's best to still try your best to apologize anyway. And if they don't accept it, well, then you've kind of done all that you can. It's probably better to do that than to not apologize at all. Well, the doctor has more to say. I actually stopped the TI video to go and watch the entire Linford video. Yeah, that was That was quite the video, wasn't it? And it was a two-parter at that. Linford is an interesting guy. Linford is an interesting guy. I might feature him on the channel again at some point. Hey, Linford, the people love you. Do you have any more controversial opinions? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I went easy with that one, actually. If you guys actually watched the whole session, he said quite a few problematic things. I'm actually a little bit surprised that uh, a lot of the FI users, especially, did not comment. And I'm about to get myself in trouble talking more. So let me stop there. And it highlights TI very well for me. I agree. Not a doctor, just my name without vowels. Oh, well, that's interesting. I had a feeling that you weren't really a doctor, but I couldn't really know how else to make sense of that. Let's see. Your name without vowels. So that means that you probably have, so you're DAR or DER. This is also very TI. I'm over here trying to figure out the puzzle behind like what's not there, which is also probably also could be NE, could be NI. I don't know. Stuff like this like really shows up. It's funny because I'm thinking about how again back to Eminem, ISTP. He talked about how like he spends all day just thinking of words and finding ways to like put them together, and he has like a treasure chest where he like writes down words and writes down like not even just words but like bars, like lyrics, and then like just scraps on like puts them on scraps of pieces of paper, and then he'll randomly like assort them and put them together. So I thought that was really interesting. Very, again, TI. Yes, it was your questions. Yes, it was your questions were awesome. They helped me understand myself. You know what? I'm very glad. I'm very glad. And I guess, since it seems like there's not really much more questions from the people, this is a great place to plug in for Denzel. If you want to get profiled, not you, doctor, who's not a doctor, but if you want to get profiled, make sure to go to denzelmensa.com. He will get you right. Well, that's a figure of speech. He will get you right, as in like he will help you out, but he will get you right too, as in he will get you the accurate type to the best of his ability, and he'll go through it with you. He'll make it worth the money. So yeah, if you visit denzelmensa.com, he'll definitely help you out, but also at the same time, if you want to just develop as a person, develop to the best of your ability any of the functions that are in your immediate stack, or if you for whatever reason want to develop your shadow function stack, he doesn't discriminate. You should visit, book a session with him, even if it's just a preliminary session, to see like, hey, is this something that we could do? And it's a pretty honest guy. If he can't help you, he won't try to like take anything from you in that way. So yeah, but I think that's about it then. I'll say, yeah, going once, going twice, 3 times. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. And thank you once again for even watching the video. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that nobody really got too triggered or defensive or offended so far. Let me find some wood to knock on. And yeah, I also hope that you guys are excited to see the next few videos coming out. SI already has his video out. Well, not out, but done. And it's going to be premiering on Sunday. And then the Sunday after that, it's going to be NE. That one is kind of crazy. I mean, some of you have probably already seen the previews. If you haven't, you should go and check out the preview, and just know it only gets worse from that point on. NE is definitely a handful. But SI actually also came out really well too. NI and SE, funny enough, were pretty slow, but they're going to be getting theirs done too. A month from now, you'll be seeing NI, and 2 weeks from now, you'll be seeing, or 3 weeks from now, you'll be seeing SC, and I'm sure that'll be worth your time. Okay, I think I'm done now. Hope y'all have a great day. Doctor, thank you so much. I appreciate you and all the work that you do to help out your patients.